Hi everybody, this is Scott Dudley from SaaS Startup Stories, and today my special guest is Ankit Dudhwewala, who's based in India. Ankit is the founder and CEO of Software Suggest, which is an online platform that helps businesses, organisations and professionals in selecting the best software solutions, and also Call Hippo, which is a business phone system that allows pre and post telephony automation. Welcome to the show, Ankit. You ready to rock and roll?
Uh, uh, Thank you for inviting me here, Scott.
You're welcome. All right, so let's get straight into it. And let's start off with your background and what initially got you interested in starting a SaaS company in the first place.
So, Scott, I will start. I will answer this question with 4 facts about me and the organization, or the organization's background and myself. So,
Okay.
the first thing is that I am not an engineer, and I have not written a single line of code. The second interesting point is that we don't have a tech co-founder in the company, and we have not had a tech co-founder in the company for the last 8 years. The third interesting thing is that before starting this tech organization, I did not have any background in technology. I did not work in a startup. I was in the pharmaceutical industry,
Ah,
and I did not understand what VCs and angel investors are.
yes.
And the fourth interesting fact is that we only invested $15,000 in starting this organization, and we are at a 170 team member as of today. So that actually sums up the four most interesting facts of our organization. What got me interested in SaaS is that I was in a pharmaceutical company before starting up this particular organization,
Mm,
and I had not gone US ever. I was always in India, but I used to read about all these organizations who were spread across the world,
yep.
selling $10 and $20 softwares to the world, around the world. So there will be someone who is sitting in Bangladesh and selling to the world, and doing $1 million and $2 million of revenue. And that actually I actually found that very fascinating. I mean, without meeting customers and without talking to them, they were reaching $1 million and $2 million of revenue and having decent profits for them. And that's what got me attracted towards SaaS. And that's how the entire journey started for SaaS.
Okay, fascinating. Especially it's different not being or being a non-technical founder as well. Most of the people that I've spoken to either do the coding or do part of the coding. So
Right.
yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so you've
Yeah.
already touched a bit about sort of the situation at the beginning with the bootstrapping. So maybe if you could just go into that in a little bit more detail. So did you borrow VC money to launch your SaaS companies, both of them? So we've got Call Hippo and Software Suggest, or did you bootstrap them instead? So how did you actually go about getting those up and running in the very beginning?
Okay. So I was actually based. I'm still based out of a small town in India, which is Ahmedabad. So the startup capital of India is Bangalore, and back then there was not much of VC and angels. I mean, India was just getting started with investments and fundings. Now it's pretty. I mean, now $1 million of investment is not
Yes.
a big deal in India. But then what the other startups were getting, even the startups in Bangalore were getting 100 200K of investments, which was supposed to be big news. So Ahmedabad did not have investors, and even as I said, I did not have any background
Mm,
on investment. We did not want to create an organization which becomes investable. What all we
yeah.
wanted to do was create a business which could give us some money, and which could earn us some profit, help us earn our bread and butter. Now we get a lot of investor interest. We get our email every week, but
Oh,
uh, we
okay.
don't want we don't want to take funds now. But back then, probably because we did not know what investment is, and
Yeah.
because of being that is why we are still bootstrapped.
Okay.
uh, yeah.
Excellent.
And
Oh, go on. Sorry.
and what was the second part of your question?
Yeah. So just basically how you got the two companies off the ground, sort of in the beginning. That was sort of, I
Yeah.
guess, which is part of the the second part of the question. Yeah.
Okay. So I did not have any tech background. I had not gone to colleges which has technology people or people who could code, but I did have some friends who were doing something in technology, and I would visit all these events which was technology events, and try to make friends there. So when I decided to quit my job and enter do something in technology, I asked my friends to make some connection, get me some people who could code for us. I could get around 100 connections, and I would make call to all of these guys. Luckily, one of them could understand what we wanted to do and joined us in the journey. And that's how we got started. That's how we got our first line of code. That team member is still with us. It's about 8 years, and the team member has almost become like a founding team and a co-founder, and is still with us.
All right, so all the sort of engineering is they're all employees. That's sort of how it works, I guess.
Yeah. So we don't have employees, but all the engineering is team members. So yeah.
Yeah, I see. Is it all based in India, or is it in other places around the world?
Okay. So before Corona, they were all based out of India. In fact, they were based out of Ahmedabad. But now we are a remote pro company, and now we have engineers and we have team members also across the world.
Okay, interesting. All right, so tell me a bit about the Software Suggest and Cool Hippo products, what they actually are, and what exactly they provide to their users. Like, are they pricing tiers? And go into a little bit more detail about the actual products themselves.
Okay, so as I said, I was working in a pharma company before we started Software Suggest. We started Software Suggest in 2014, and in the pharma company, we did three mistakes of not being able to find the right software vendors. So back in 2014, there was Captera, which was a software listing website, and they were not really collecting reviews and collating reviews and making it presentable for companies or helping companies find a software using reviews. And because of the three mistakes which we did, three wrong vendors which we selected in the pharma company, I thought there's an opportunity for doing this, and that's how we started Software Suggest. Now there is G2, which has done a very good job in making reviews as the primary method of selecting softwares. But then back then there was nothing, and that's how we created Software Suggest. Software Suggest is basically a software discovery and recommendation platform. Uh, Call Hippo originated out of our need in Software Suggest to talk to global customers. We were using Skype then. Skype
Okay.
was
Yeah.
Skype was not intuitive. There was so every phone call has a lot of pre and post telephony tasks. You need to find the time zone of the customer. You need to find information about the customer before making that call. After the call, you need to enter those data in your CRM. You need to share some recordings with your team members. We realized there is nothing. There's no software, telephony software, which has any automation around it. So there was automation in email. There is Mailchimp, and there are a couple of companies which are doing automation in email. Chatbots were there. Intercom had
Yeah.
chatbot. Drift was there. But telephony, there was only one company which innovated, and which was Twilio. And
Yes.
even
Yep.
Twilio, and even what Twilio was doing was creating an infrastructure for other telephony companies, and that's when we felt that there was something which need to be done around telephony automation, and we created Qualipo. Yeah. And Qualipo was in 2017.
I thought Twilio was just for text messages, or is that both text messages and actual phone calls, is it?
Yeah, we do both text messages and actual phone calls, but we are more focused toward phone calls.
Okay. All right. So talking about customer acquisition, how did you get your first 100 customers for each platform?
Okay. So again, everything threads back to the fact that we do not have money. I mean, so because we did not have money, we did not have the option to hire expensive team members. We did not have the option to do performance marketing. So after I started the organization for about 6 months, there was no activity in the organization, and then I called one of my VC friends, and he told me about something which was called search engine optimization. He said, you have not done any search engine optimization, and that's how you
Okay.
don't have any traffic. And I locked myself in a room for about 3 days.
Yeah.
And I think I read almost everything which was written by Neil Patel then.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's how our search engine optimization and content optimization journey started. Uh, we built our own playbook for writing content and doing search engine optimization. And I mean, we started working on that, and 6 months to 1 year, we started seeing very nice results in search engine optimization. Our acquisition cost was very low, and it's still very low. Still, search engine optimization plays a major part of our customer acquisition strategy, and that's how we got started with customer acquisition.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's almost free, isn't it? I mean, obviously you've got to pay for the time for the people to create the content, but once it's created, it's on the web forever, and that can just keep producing more and more leads. So, And if it's the right sort of content, if you know what you're doing, and Neil Patel is probably the world's biggest expert on well, close to it on SEO as far as I'm aware anyway. So yeah, it makes sense. That's an excellent strategy. Okay, interesting.
To add to it, so search engine optimization needs a lot of patience.
Yeah.
So most of the VC funded and companies, they don't want to wait for 6 months and 1 year to see results. They just want results in 2 to 3 months time. And that is why for bootstrap organization and search engine optimization can be a key acquisition method.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's more of a long-term sort of idea. It's not going to get you leads next week or anything, but if you keep sticking with it and if you know what you're doing, then in the long term, it'll pay off. It's not really something that I've explored in great detail, but I do see the advantage and the benefits of it. Yeah.
Correct. Right.
Yeah. All right. So without giving away your secrets, what are your product roadmaps for the next 12 to 18 months for both of these companies?
So we have been doing softwares, mostly softwares and software suggest. Now we are moving out of softwares and we want to do more B2B research, and we are adding services companies, IT services companies to software suggest. We will also be doing other type of B2B businesses, and we will also be collecting reviews on other type of B2B businesses. That's our plan for software suggest. In Qualipo, we are moving towards speech analytics. So we have, in the last 4 years, we have built a lot of features which help in telephony automation. Now we think speech analytics is something which will soon become must-have for telephony automation. How quality check of all these calls are being done will become very important, and that's why in the next 1.5 years, what we want to conquer is speech analytics with telephony.
Is there any competitors that are already doing that, or do you reckon you'd be the first?
Yeah,
there are.
There is Gong and there is Observe.ai, there's Chorus which is doing that. So we want to take some portion of it and attach it with Qualipo, so it starts making more sense for our Qualipo users.
So you can basically sort of research what they're doing and model what's working, I guess, and use it for your own.
Yeah, and not exactly. I mean, there's some part of it is going to be research, what working with them. It also helps us upsell and increase the lifetime value and for our customers.
Okay, makes sense. All right, so what are the most common mistakes that inexperienced SaaS founders make in your opinion? And maybe also look back to when you were inexperienced as well. What are some of the mistakes that you made?
So because of software suggest, I talk to a lot of software companies, and the most common mistake which I see is over engineering the product. So I see a lot of founders, they don't go and sell their product. They keep improving their product. They spend a year, 2 years, 3 years in improving their product, and they never they don't go and sell it in the market. That I think is the most important mistake. I think you should first start selling your product and then start writing the first line of code or start engineering it. The number of SaaS companies around the world are, I mean, I think they're uncountable. But the number of softwares which sell are very few, and the differentiator is the sales and the marketing team. It is not product engineering. Product engineering is important, but you have to be stronger on the sales and marketing side. That also probably comes out of the fact that most SaaS founders are engineers themselves. They find it easier to code, and maybe that's why they keep improving the product. And
that's probably a good point. But I mean, it doesn't really matter how great the product is if the sales and marketing is poor and you're not bringing in the money to finance it. So and particularly if the founder is so focused on the actual coding, then the sales are going to suffer. So that makes good sense. Yeah,
and for the mistakes which we did, we started hiring professional team members very late. So as I said, I mean, we were very profit focused until very recently, and we would not hire very senior team members. We recently started doing that. We hired people from Freshdesk and Zoa, and they have performed excellent for us. If I can go back and change something, probably I will hire them. I'll start hiring them a little earlier in the journey, and instead of hiring them, after about 7 years.
So would you class these as freelancers or more as team members or employees?
No, team members.
So
all these are team members. Yes.
So how many team members would you? Oh, sorry.
We work with very few freelancers. We have about 170 team members as of now, and maybe around another 5 to 6 freelancers who work with us.
Okay, it's decent size. Fair enough. All right. So what about reducing churn? How do you approach sort of minimizing the churn and retaining your paying customers?
Okay, so when we started, we were very individual and small business focused. We said we'll do that $10 things, and we'll try to get 10 thousands and thousands of customers paying us $10 and reach 1 million and $2 million of revenue. But like most SaaS startups, we realized that it's going to create churn, and at one point our growth will stop. I think that has been the story of most startups which have sold really low, and they don't have very unique differentiators. So very recently, what we have started doing is we have started moving mid-market. We are letting go of our very small customers. We have changed our engineering plan, and we are making it towards customers. We are larger enterprises. Earlier, we were doing individual users, maybe 2, 3, maybe the maximum which we went was 10 users. Now what we are focusing on is 50 to 500 users, and we have started seeing results there. Our churn is going down, and our customer lifetime value is also increasing because of this.
Okay, so are there like tiers, different pricing levels for both of these softwares, or is it just sort of like one membership?
No, there are different tiers for both of these software. So like a user SaaS company, we have multiple tiers. We have the bronze, silver, and all those plans. And but what we try to do is we try to move companies in, or get companies in our enterprise plan, where we can get 100 to 100 users, meaning 100 to 100 users. We can support them with customer success. We can always be there for them. So and I think that's the playbook for most SaaS organization which wants to cross $10-20 million of revenue. Focusing on very small businesses, unless you have a very big differentiator, I don't think you can cross more than $2-3 million of revenue.
So how are you approaching the companies to upgrade? Is that mainly just through email follow-up?
No, we are now constantly in touch with the company. So we talk to the organizations. So for the chat button, or the chat widget which is on the website, or sign up which is on the website, is mainly towards collecting phone numbers, and then we reach out to these companies. We talk to them, then we try to close. What I have observed is that people around the world want to talk. They don't like most people around the world. They don't like typing or sending emails. Give them a call, talk to them, help them understand your product, and they will convert. So talking to them is I think really important.
Yeah, that's one thing with the live chat widgets I've noticed as well. People don't really like typing in, and if you can just have a thing where they press a button and then they talk, and then they stop the thing, and then it sends the audio, then that's a lot more. It's less friction rather than typing it in. So I agree with you there. Yeah.
It saves a lot of time, and I mean because we know India and we understand India, we have the bandwidth and we have the resources to invest people in that. We can have people in India who can actually spend more time and talk to people around the globe. That helps us keep our cost low, and customers actually like talking than chatting on a widget.
But the time zone differences would make it difficult, wouldn't it? With like the United States, the time difference between India and the United States is pretty large.
No, so Indians are generally very hardworking. People in India, people in Philippines are generally hardworking. So we support our customer 24/7.
Oh, okay. 24/7.
I have a group. I have a group of engineers who are even working on Sundays, and I have my sales team, my support team, customer success team working on Sundays. We do rosters where they work 5 days a week. They might take a holiday on a Monday or a Tuesday, but they are available on Sunday. So we support our customers all 24/7. And again, being a call center or a telephony product, we need to do that, because if our call EPO, if there's some issue in call EPO and it goes down even for a minute, there is a lot of revenue loss which all these call centers or sales team can face, and that is why we have our team working 24/7.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. All right, so what would you say was the biggest challenge you had to face when you first started Software Suggest, which was the first company you created, and how did you go about overcoming that?
So because I'm not an engineer, the first biggest challenge was, how do we code? Who will write the first line of code for us?
Yeah.
I think what worked for us was trusting people. I mean, we hired a couple of engineers and we trusted them with whatever they were doing. I still don't understand a line of code. I cannot even get hello world on the Internet Explorer, write a code and get hello world on the Internet Explorer.
Mm.
But the entire idea of giving them a very good environment and giving them their own space and trusting them with what they do work for us. And in fact, even today it is working for us. So even at 170 people, we have an organization where if I am not there for 3 months, nothing changes. There are team leaders who control things, who are trusted, who take their own decisions and run the organization. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that has worked best for us.
Okay. Because I've heard some people say that with a SaaS company, it's best to have like two founders. One founder does sort of the marketing sales side of it, and the other founder does the tech side of it. But
Right.
it sounds like you disagree that's not really necessary.
Yeah, we don't have board meetings. So I have realized that when there are multiple founders, there are too many board meetings. People are spending too much time on the blackboard, on the whiteboard,
Okay.
and decisions take a lot of time. So in our organization, we hardly have discussions, and people have their own team. They're their own entrepreneurs, and they take their own decisions and run the organization. So I think that benefit of having two co-founders we have overcome by the speed of execution, because we are not spending time discussing things and trying to convince other people in our team
Okay.
on our decisions.
Yeah.
uh, we get the speed of execution, and that has been very helpful for us.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So other than your products, what are your favorite online tools and platforms that you use to run your business?
So I think Slack is almost god level. What they have created is amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's almost like a ERP for us. So all the conversation is in Slack. So the time we spend on Gmail has reduced a lot.
Mm.
And we have all, and in work from home we have all our conversations in Slack. We talk via Slack calls. So the single most important tool for our organization, or a tool which disappears, which if it disappears our organization will suffer, is Slack.
Mm. Mm. Okay. Yeah. It very rarely goes down either, which is good. I think I've only seen Slack go down once or twice over the 3 years or 4 years that I've been using it. So it's pretty reliable as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're continuously innovating. I mean, they come up with something. So they continuously come up with new things, new ideas which will simplify work. They recently added something where you can talk to external team members and send emails to external people using Slack, which was also
Yeah.
very interesting.
And there's lots of good stuff you can integrate with it as well. So yeah,
Right.
it's very nice.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So what are you curious about or researching right now regarding SaaS and software in general?
So as in revenue, we are somewhere south of $5 million, and what we are trying to do is reach $10 million.
Okay.
Uh, what I'm mostly researching about, I'm listening, I'm reading books, and I'm hearing podcasts around how people reach $10 million. And what we want to do is reduce the number of mistakes which we do in reaching there, and reduce the time which we take in reaching there. So all my energy is going towards understanding how we can reach $10 million faster.
Okay. Do you have a favorite sort of business book that you'd like to recommend regarding SaaS, or is there any books that you would say are your favorite? Or
So I don't think this book is talked much about in the SaaS community, but there's a book called Predictively Irrational by Malcolm, no, Dan Ariely. So Predictively Irrational by Dan Ariely is a book which I think every marketing person should read. We recently started doing outbound sales, and I also read Predictable Revenue, which is also amazing.
yeah, I've read both of those books. Predictable
Oh,
Revenue.
wow.
That's what's his name? I can't remember now. Aaron something, I think. But yeah, I know the one you're
Yes,
talking about. Yeah, that's a good book. He was the guy that worked at Salesforce. Yeah,
correct,
yeah,
right.
awesome.
And I don't think there's a better author than Dan Ariely. I mean, his books are amazing. So I'm a very big fan of Dan Ariely and Malcolm Gladwell. With Malcolm Gladwell has this book called Outliers and Tipping Point,
Yeah, I've read
which is
all of
also
those.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the Dan O'Reilly book, he talks about the lint truffle, doesn't he, with the free test?
Right.
Yeah, quite fascinating.
Right.
All right, so just to wrap up, where can people go to find out more about Software Suggest and Call Hippo?
So you can visit our website, or if you want to talk to me, you can also email me. I'm at ankit@softwaresuggest.com or ankit@callhippo.com. So yeah, this is how you can find out about more about both our products.
Excellent. All right, thanks for being on the show, Ankit. I appreciate your time. Thanks for that.
Thanks for having me here.